Hello, welcome to the Virtual Jewish Thought of the Week. This is Rabbi Dan Lewin speaking to you from Dallas, Texas. The question we're going to discuss today is, what does it mean to be holy? And an issue related to this is some people say, well, I walk into a synagogue, I walk in to shul and start praying, and I just can't get motivated. I'm not into it. It doesn't feel, it's difficult, it's boring. Why does that happen? The opening line of this week's Torah reading is Kadoshim Tiyu. You should be holy, which some commentators say is actually a mitzvah. You have an instruction to be holy because I, your God, am holy. Now the obvious question is, that's very vague. What does it mean to be holy? How do I do that? Now some people might think to be holy means to separate from the material world, to refrain from lust, desires, not to sin, to do a lot of mitzvahs, and that's all part of it. But the commentaries explain that these words, be holy, do not refer to a command to stay away from evil or to engage in a lot of good deeds. That's obvious. When somebody is in the synagogue, obviously they're engaging in some holy activity. When someone is sinning, obviously they're not. So what do the words be holy refer to? Refers to the idea of sanctifying yourself with what is optional. Let's explain what this means. There are objects or activities that are black and white. So for example, if somebody is studying Torah, the object of a Torah, the physical Torah scroll, that's holy. Then there are things that are the opposite extreme, that the Torah forbids. That's a sin. Stay away from that. But most of our time is spent engaging in ordinary activities. When we eat, when we sleep, when we drive. And the test, the measure of what it means to be holy is what do we do then? These ordinary activities are a gray area. They can either be elevated to be holy, or we can push them down and they can be selfish activities. And what determines whether or not this any given act will make it to be considered a holy act? That depends on our intention. Our intention behind the act. Every act has a why behind it. Why am I doing this? So for example, someone sleeps, someone eats, you have a casual conversation. Any one of these activities, you could say, well, why am I doing this? If the intention is because it's pleasurable for me, just pure self-gratification, I need to enjoy myself, which is okay. But if that's the intention, then what happens is we lower ourselves with those activities to just be part of the ordinary animal world. But when we do something with a higher intention, because it completes our purpose, it plays a role in the big picture of our life, then even the act of sleeping, if it revives us, becomes a holy act. The act of eating. We realize we have to eat to stay alive. That's why we say a blessing. That becomes a holy act. So most people think, oh, when I'm doing something in the synagogue, when I'm engaging in something pure and holy, that's what it means to be holy. But ordinary activities, then I'm just a regular person. The message from this week is the opposite. The test of what makes somebody holy is what do they do with their free time? What is the motivation behind our ordinary physical needs? It says that every time we have an impulse to fulfill a desire, and instead we say, wait a second, let me just tone this down. For example, I have a piece of food and a big steak in front of me, and I already had a big meal. I'm full. But something inside tells me, wow, I really need this. So I say to myself, but I'm full. So I say, okay, I'm just going to eat a little bit, and I cut out a little bit of that desire. Every time we do this, this helps us, it strengthens the holy part of us, and when we go into the synagogue, all of a sudden things are smoother. Why? Because we practice during our outside activities, we practice the general mentality of doing something for a higher purpose. That way, all of a sudden, we don't have to shift gears when we walk into the synagogue and wonder, oh, why is it boring? Why can't I get into it? Because we're already practicing when we're driving, when we're eating, when we're speaking casually. We're perfecting our motivation behind that act. And that is the message and the instruction, perhaps the homework for this week. Whenever we engage in our ordinary activities, try to once, twice during the day catch yourself and say, why am I doing this? Maybe I don't need this so much. And you do it for a higher intention. Oh, this completes my purpose. Right now I'm sleeping so I can wake up, so I can play with my kids, so I can put more energy into doing something good. When we have that thought, that's what it means to be holy. Thank you very much for your time and for watching. If you like this, please forward it to anyone you think would be interested. And if you would like to dedicate or sponsor a video, please email me at the address below. And I look forward to speaking with you next week.